So there was a young man named Tom. He lived in the big city, and he was really struggling. He really was trying to find his niche, his purpose. And so he sought out the guidance of a gardener who was known for his wisdom. And he's asked the gardener, he said, I'm struggling to find my niche or my purpose, or how can I share this with the world? And the gardener gave him a seed, and he said, please take this home and just tend to it. And when you're done, bring it back. Tom did as he was told. He took it home, he tended to it, and in time, this beautiful sunflower grew. And he took it back to the gardener, and the gardener explained to him, Tom, your purpose is like the seed that is inside of you. It already lives inside of you. You need to tend to it, to pay attention, nurture it, and your talents will come above, and you will find them, and it will grow inside of you, and it will emerge. And Tom realized that it wasn't always an easy answer to the question, what is my purpose? Sometimes we have to wait for it, and we have to find it in our own way. And that is what we are here to talk about today, is do you have a niche? Do you have a purpose? And if you do, are you sharing it with the world? So let me tell you how this conversation started in my little head. I was surrounding myself, honestly, with people in this community in 360 Nation. And I was looking around, and there were people, amazing humans, who were passionate about their topic. They were passionate about what they were speaking to. They were like, they found their truth. They found that thing inside of them that put them on fire. And what they were doing was they were sharing it with the world. And I just thought, this is amazing. And I would like to call out a few people, and some of you are on the call. I need to start with Colin. Colin is about listening. Colin has taken listening to a whole new level of understanding. Colin has taught me how to not just listen to, but to be with. And that is an amazing distinction. And Colin has taken this and he's sharing it with the world. And I am incredibly grateful for that learning. Paul Horry, don't know if you know him, he talks about belonging, all about belonging. I can't tell you I knew what belonging even meant, or I didn't understand the right definition until I met him. And now I understand that belonging is not just in the workplace. It's belonging in relationship. And it's about self-belonging. And I want to learn more. And Brian, I didn't know that you were about belonging. So I'm probably going to be looking for you too, because I want to continue to learn. Melissa Hughes, neuroscience, how the brain works. I don't always understand what you're talking about, but what I know is every time you talk about it or you write about it, you completely light up and you are so excited to share this knowledge. And through your excitement, it's contagious. And now I'm learning. EPEC, mindfulness and meditation. EPEC is the essence of what she teaches. She breathes and showcases in her words, her action. She is the essence of mindfulness. And she has been such an inspiration to so many people, and including myself. Leslie, I don't even know where to begin with you. You are the master. You are the master of conscious awareness, the master of manifestation, think and grow rich. You have studied for so long, and you have honed these skills in a way that you're a teacher, and you are sharing that with the world, definitely sharing it with me and with the things that I've learned from you. And I am incredibly grateful. Diane, a storyteller. I cannot tell you how many times you have put a story prompt out there, and I look at it, and all of a sudden, I start to write a story. You bring something out in me. And what you're doing is you're giving us the opportunity and the skill set to understand that we all have a story. It's how we find it within ourselves. And you're giving us not only the skills, but the permission to do that. I have written more stories since I've met you, and I'm grateful. So thank you. So those are just a few examples from some amazing humans in this room. And if you don't know them, please look them up because they're pretty great. But so in my brain, I'm thinking, okay, so do we all have a niche? Do we all have a purpose? And I thought, well, let's use some examples. So I went straight to musicians like Taylor Swift or Elvis Presley or Tina Turner. You know, these people, this is their niche, right? That's their passion. That's their purpose. And they're sharing it with the world. Okay. So then I thought, well, what are some other examples of maybe people who found their niche later in life, or maybe in a different way? And are you familiar with Sister Madonna Buder? She is better known as the Iron Nun. She is the oldest woman on record to have completed an Ironman triathlon. That's not the Camino, but I think it's pretty impressive. She did it at the age of 82 years old. And today she's 92. And she's still going strong. The funny thing about this story is that when, as a nun, she was talking to her priest. She was 46 years old. And her priest asked if she had ever had any interest in running, that it was good for your body, but it was good for your mind-body connection. So she borrowed a pair of tennis shoes and she went for a run. The seed was planted, I think, on that very first run. She found her niche, or did her niche find her? What about Blake Mycoskie? He is the founder and CEO of Tom's Shoes, and also the brains behind the business model One for One. So in Tom's Shoes, anytime you purchase a pair of shoes, another pair of shoes is given to a family or someone in need. He was in Argentina in 2006, and he saw these communities of people and children that didn't have shoes in these villages. And he thought there had to be a different way. He could make a difference. What could he do to make a difference? He came up for the One for One model in this nonprofit organization. And he wanted to make a difference. And he did. And he still is. I'd like to share one final example. It's a personal story. It was in the year 2000. I was caring for my grandfather. I had 3 small children at the time. I was his only living relative. And he got very sick very fast. It was a bit overwhelming, as you can imagine. Finally, the doctor said it's time to call hospice. Not even sure I knew what hospice was at the time, but I did. And she asked if she could come over and visit. And I said, well, of course you can. But you do know it's Thanksgiving, right? And she said, I know. She said, but if you're available, may I come? And I said, of course you can. So she came to the house. We sat at the dining room table, and she started to talk to me about death and dying, what it was going to look like. She talked about next steps. She talked about the impact it was going to make, not only on my grandfather, but the side effects for my children and for me. And at some point I said, you have to stop, please. I have to ask a question. I said, why do you do this? How do you do this? On Thanksgiving, how do you do this? And she said to me, she said, oh, she goes, I did not choose hospice. Hospice chose me. And she said, I love what I do. And she goes, I'm going to be with you every step of the way. Still hard to tell the story. So as we look at all these examples, and I'm admiring all these amazing people who are just like experts and they love what they do, and I really started to question myself. like I was struggling, like I don't think I have a niche. Do I need one? Am I less than if I don't have one? Are you better than me because I don't? And then I started to think, well, I remember in elementary school when they used to ask you, what do you want to be when you grow up? You know, well, I want to be a ballerina. I want to be a firefighter. I want to be the president. I don't think anybody ever said they wanted to work in retail. My point is, I think our culture nurtures the fact that we should be good at one thing. And maybe some of us aren't. So why then do some people have a niche and others don't? Really begs the question. And I realize that it's probably one of three things, is that either people who have a niche or an expertise, is maybe it's a natural talent. Maybe they were just born with it and they're just really good at it, and then they just continue to do that. Or maybe it's, an expertise, or they're just interested in it. And if you're that, then you're going to work hard at it because you want to be good at it because you're interested. Or maybe it's as easy as exposure. Maybe you were given an instrument, as a small child, or you were given a baseball bat or sports equipment, and you just got really good at it, and that became your passion. So then I started to think, well, then this is really, really important. There is such value, though, in versatility, right? People that are good at a lot of different things. So those people can be called polymaths, or versatile, or jack of all trades, multi-talented. They can be called generalists. There's another term I really like. It's called multi-potentialite. So let me give you a couple examples of those. So my husband and I were watching a documentary a couple weeks ago, and it was on Arnold Schwarzenegger. Well, that's not something I normally would watch, but I was fascinated with his life. He was a young boy, and all he wanted was to be a bodybuilder. And he became the best bodybuilder in the world. When he got finished with that chapter, he wanted to be an actor. He was in a couple of films, Arnold Schwarzenegger. We'll call Terminator just one of them. When he finished that chapter, he then wanted to go into politics. And he was the governor of California. Well, you don't have to like his movies, and you don't have to agree with his politics. But I would call that a multi-potentialite in my book. Leonardo da Vinci, artist, inventor, scientist. Benjamin Franklin, founding father, writer, inventor, political theorist, good at a lot of different things. And then what I realized is that people who are generalists, they're really good at connecting the dots. They're really good at problem solving because they can see things from a higher level. And I think what I saw was that people with a niche or an expertise can really dive deep. But people who are generalists, they can really go wide. So think about that, either in the workplace or in a relationship. I mean, it's a beautiful mix. So I think the world clearly needs all of us. But I think the interesting distinction I also found is that generalists, and I think I might be speaking for myself here, generalists think they don't fit in anywhere. And the fact is, they fit in everywhere. I was pretty convinced I was a generalist, but the more I started thinking about the stories, something came up for me. And I do have a niche. And I'm a writer. I started writing letters, birthday letters to my children 30 years ago. Those letters became journals, and those journals became stories, and those stories became blogs, and those blogs became even bigger stories. And today I continue to write for Biz Catalyst 360. I write for myself, I write for my family, and I write for the world. And it feels good because I think I have found my niche. I think I have found my purpose. I know I have found my passion. And I know that I'm sharing it with the world. So a first grade teacher comes in and asks her class what they want to be when they grow up. Says, Jenny, what do you want to be? And she says, I want to be a scientist. And says, Tommy, what do you want to be? Says, I want to be the president. And then she asked Billy, and Billy, what do you want to be? Billy said, I just want to be possible. And the teacher said, what? And Billy said, I just want to be possible. She goes, I've never heard of that. What does that mean? And she says, well, my mama always says, Billy, you're impossible. And I just want to be possible. So don't we all just want to be possible in some way? So I lead the story with this as I've had so much fun exploring this, is that if you found your niche, your purpose, please share it with the world, because we want to learn from you. And if you're a generalist and you're good at a whole lot of different things, please share it with the world, because you fit in everywhere and we want to learn from you.